Well, if I happen to get divorced in the next little while, at least you'll know why. Here's my latest project vehicle for the fleet. So this is the front half, anyway, of my latest vehicle. This is a 2008 GMC Sierra that I picked up off of Kijiji, which is like a Canadian Craigslist kind of deal, and I got it for $22.50, which is right around $1,500 American. So it was, geez, by local standards, it's a really amazing deal. You can see there's a little bit of damage to the bodywork there, and I'm in Atlantic, Canada, so of course it's just covered in rust. Yeah, this is her from the front. This side is also salty as could possibly be. And you may notice I don't have much room to film, but the rockers have all been redone. And the box sides, they're outside, so you can't get much of a view of them. They have been, the rust has been fixed, but they haven't been color matched yet. And so from the inside, it's actually quite a nice, clean looking truck. Let me see, did I have the good sense to keep the keys on me before I started filming? No, I did not. There you go, keys. So I'll give that a go. You can see it starts up really nicely. Idle's fine. Let me get in there. Oil pressure is good. I even got half a tank of gas with it. And the odometer reading isn't on there now. I do have an airbag light, which is kind of too bad. Around 220, 248. So that's kilometers, so about half that for miles, right? And the engine sounds fine. I'll give it a quick rev if I can reach the gas pedal. It sounds great. I'll shut that off. But the issues it has, and the reason I got it for so cheap, is because it seems to have what the previous owner thought was a grounding issue. So here is the fault log report generated by my my little scanner here. I just got a cheapy Bluetooth one, but it does the job. And so the first two, P0060 and P232534. So I looked them up, and they are consistent with a grounding issue, which is really good. And then the other ones down below it mostly have to do with an O2 sensor possibly being bad. This P0700, this is probably also related to the ground. And then the other one was a catalytic converter. So that's all small potatoes, right? Don't care too much about that. It's actually really validating, because that means that in all probability it really is just a grounding issue, and that's all that's wrong. Now, I was doing a little bit of poking around. Here's our fuse box. I've already taken the cover off. I know this camera doesn't like low light, but you can see that it's filthy. This has been off for a long time, before I got the truck. And somebody must have just put it back on. But you'll also notice, for some reason, the battery, which should be, right here, isn't. For whatever reason, it was relocated, thanks to that mess of a wiring harness. Whoop. Over here to the other side. I am 99% certain that this is not a factory install, and I don't know why this was done. Those clamps, they don't look too bad. They don't look great either. I'm just not sure why that was done. You see they even moved the master fuse. And that looks a little grungy. So a ground fault isn't the end of the world. Electrical gremlins happen. But when you see wiring like this, that makes me like a little bit nervous. There's a few odd ends in the truck too, like this guy. The hell is he for? I don't know. So we might have our work cut out for us, but I'm still really happy with what I found overall. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my guy set up here. Just check resistance, and I'm going to check every single one of these fuses. You may as well start with the little things first, right? So we'll see how that goes. Huh, about that well. So I've already noticed that a couple of these fuses, they're not pushed in quite all the way. So somebody's been doing a little bit of work in here, and not a very good job of it. So when I'm talking about some of these fuses not quite being in there right, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. See this guy here? Doesn't show up all that well on the camera, but that fuse is really not in there well. There's that one actually. So I'd say I found about half a dozen or so, about that bad. So even if all these check out okay, I'm gonna just make sure that they all line up with what's on the cover there. You know, they got the fuse diagram. So I'm gonna make sure all the fuses that are here are supposed to be there. And I'm gonna try clearing the truck and just turn it on. And I'm just gonna see if, you know, test my luck a little bit. Let's see if I really could be that lucky. So it's the next day now, next evening actually, and you can see that it snowed a little bit. That's no big deal. What I do want to do today is, since I finished the fuse box, the engine compartment fuse box yesterday and didn't find any issues, what I'll do instead is take a look at the fuse box that's inside. Try not to hit the welder as I open this. Good. Which I believe is right here on the side. I'm going to pop that guy out and we'll take a look at those fuses and just make sure that none of them are blown out as well. So I apologize if there's some lines going down your screen. My only lighting option right now is that LED bar. And works great for me, but cameras don't like it. So if we pop this guy off. Actually, here is our fuse diagram. Should be able to take a look in. I actually don't see the fuse. Oh, there they are. There they are. So that's going to be tricky to film. So what I'll probably do is just check on all those, and if there's any issues, then I'll let you know. Okay, so I finished checking all the fuses that are inside there, and they were all fine. There was one or two that weren't even close to being seated properly, but they didn't make a difference. So the next step here is that I'm going to take these terminals off. Now, I know lighting's not great, but they are pretty grungy, especially if you're looking right there. That's the positive side. And the negative side, I can't get much of a view on. I can see where someone has hit them with what looks like fluid film or something, maybe. So I'll take those off, throw the battery on a charger, and then clean them up. And that'll be the next thing. But I also want to take a look at that mega fuse. Again, I'm sorry about the lighting. There we go. That, to me, looks like garbage. I know a lot of the gunk that's on there is just like some rust prohibitant maybe that someone tossed onto it. But it still looks like shit. So I'm going to order another one of those regardless, because I just think that guy is due to be replaced. Now, this battery is actually the first confirmable lie I have for sure caught the old owner, and because he said that he had just replaced the battery, he said it had a brand new battery. But if you look at the top of this guy, you can see the paint markers on there. The paint marker scribblings. I can't make it out. November 25th, 2019 is what it looks like that says. But this battery is, I'd say this is a junkyard battery. We've got stickers placed on top of stickers. There should be a date of sale tab on there that most batteries this size have. Lets you know when they were, what month they were produced in and such. And that's been removed. And if you look even at like the terminals and stuff, there's a lot of rust and garbage in there. So these are definitely not, or this, sorry, is definitely not a new battery. I am going to throw the charger onto it. It was starting the truck fine. And I do think that the battery is probably okay. Let's see what we get for voltage here. 12.4 volts, 46% charge, and that's fine. We've been starting it off and on and not really giving it a chance to charge up. So I'm going to put a little bit of power to it, and yeah, we'll see. I was just really, I was really surprised. I know that people fudge the truth a little when you're buying and selling, but yeah, such an easily verifiable thing. Why lie about it? Oh, I also forgot to mention the battery was not secured inside of the tray. You may have noticed that little elbow bracket that was on top of it. That doesn't hold it down. It probably sits about this far off the top. And then there's these little fins here on the side. So these fins should be holding it down, but because this isn't the original battery and it's not the same size as the original battery, those fins aren't able to hook onto the connectors of the truck. So it was just loose, like just like it was sitting there on the counter. So I figure we'll take a look at these terminals now. Again, I apologize for that light, but it's just what I've got. If we look at it, that's pretty, it's pretty grody looking. Come on, focus. Yeah, I don't have a lot of confidence in that. This whole plug is pretty nasty, so we'll take that off. I'll check to see how well that crimp is really holding those wires on. Yeah, yikes. This is our negative. Oh, come back. It looks better, I guess. Oh, we got a little bit of white. Yeah, that could be a ground problem all on its own right there. Holy shit. I don't know if that's salt or just some kind of buildup from, you know how shitty electronics kind of get that gunk on them sometimes. Wow, that's more than I kind of expected to see. So I'm gonna take those terminals off, I guess. Wow, thanks. Yikes! So this is one of the screws that came out of the positive terminal there. It is, yeah, it's about as grody as the negative one was. And just look at the buildup and the gunk. It's amazing to me. Oh, yeah, let's just take that off. I haven't even taken that off yet. I didn't realize that was all the way out. Yeah, that's gonna need to be redone. I'm gonna be really hesitant in calling this the actual source of our issues. It could be, for sure. But either way, you know, this needs to be taken care of. The issues, and the only way I'm a little bit hesitant to say that this could be the issue with the limp mode and such, is because that seems to be more of a grounding issue in the dash specifically, whereas the rest of the vehicle is doing okay. Yeah, like I said, this needs to be taken care of. Anyway, you can't drive the truck like that. Come on, buddy. So here is an actual hunk of nastiness that I found inside of the positive terminal. It was sitting right about there. And if you, I don't know how well this will show up on camera. Come on, focus. Yeah, not very well. But there's actually copper wires inside of this. So this wasn't just sitting on its own in there, this was between the wires. And some of the wires broke off inside of it. And that's just, yeah. Yep. And I figure I may as well show you the wire too. Now that I got the terminal off it, and it is, well, yeah, it's like you'd expect it to be. That's pretty gross. It's also full of gunk. Yeah, it's amazing that instead of taking the terminals off and cleaning them up, you know, this guy you just put a little bit of fluid film on top of them. I thought, yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. So I've done a little bit of trimming here in the positive battery terminal, and it doesn't show up all that well with the light. Come on, focus. But yeah, you can see this terminal is corroded, or this terminal, sorry, this cable, and this is the one which goes to the this one goes right to the starter. Sorry, this isn't showing up terribly well on the camera. But yeah, I've stripped it back a ways, and you can see it's just that green corrosion all the way down. And now with this guy, this is the one that goes to the 100 amp fuse. If you crack him back, Yeah, he's at least as bad, maybe even worse. That's so I don't really need to go any further with those guys. I know that they're both going to be replaced. This one is no problem, right? It's what is this, like a maybe foot and a half? Goes right to that fuse. This other guy, that's more of a pain. He runs to the starter. At least I believe it runs to the starter. But it also joins into the to a wiring loom at some point. So replacing him might be a little bit more of a pain in the ass, but it's something I gotta do anyway. You know, that is even if that's not the source of our problems, because obviously it is still starting and such, but that's unacceptable. Ugh. Gross. So I think this is just probably where we're going to wrap this one up for now. I can't really progress until I can get some new battery cables, because they could be causing all of our problems or none of them. But either way, they need to be addressed before you do anything else. Especially because in order to get it run, I now have to use a jumper pack, because those cables are not in good enough shape even to make it back into their old terminals without falling to pieces. So hopefully that's no more than a few days to get all that back in, and then we can get back to it. So if you stuck around with me for this long, thank you very much for watching. If you want to see maybe a few more of these videos coming out in the future, or some videos of that 350 there, which will be rebuilt for my International, then you can go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you next time.